You are listening to the Cattle Call podcast. This is the place where computer-aided design and drafting meets humor and practicality, with a touch of business acumen thrown in for fun. Jim and Rocco, the owners of ZenTek Consultants, the premier U.S. technology consulting firm for architecture, engineering, construction, and manufacturing, discuss the fascinating world of CAD with some humor and some honesty. The Cattle Call podcast. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Cattle Call podcast with Jim and Rocco from ZenTek Consultants. I am Jim, your obnoxiously cheerful host, and with me, as always, is my partner,
Rocco. I'm not obnoxious. I may be cheerful, but I'm not obnoxious.
Yeah, but are you cheerful? You sound cheerful.
I am. I'm cheerful.
For the Rocco level, he's cheerful, but it's still not going to get you out of hearing the engineering joke of the week. Okay, Rocco, you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. Why don't software engineers enjoy going outside?
I don't know. Why?
Too many bugs. Huh? Yeah. And just
God.
when you think I couldn't make the jokes any worse, here I am. All right, folks.
Wow.
Yeah, I know that's bad, Dave. All right, so we do have a guest on the show today. We have Mr. David Mills, who is one of our technical specialists here at ZenTek, and he focuses heavily on the construction management space. So Dave is here. So Dave, appreciate you agreeing to spend, even more time with Rocco and I than you normally have to.
What else would I do on a Monday afternoon? This is my favorite thing.
Yes.
There's no one else here in my apartment with me. No one else is here in my apartment with me. Nothing's pointed at my head or anything.
No.
Me
At
alone.
least nothing that anybody has any recording evidence of. So just sit quietly and don't let the chains clink. So, all right. So Dave is going to be talking to us about Procore today, and the options that you guys have for, making it actually work in a real world environment, and hopefully to help you guys get past some of the technical frustrations and limitations that you can run into once Procore's kind of gotten their money and are out the door with the initial setup. But before we get into that, though, let's let you guys learn a little bit more about Dave. So, Dave, why don't you give folks kind of a summary of your background and what you do here at ZenTek?
Yeah, so I come from the general contractor space, built a lot of different office buildings, multifamily, mainly commercial construction, but I also was an owner's rep as well. And kind of between all of these, I used Procore a lot for a significant amount of the project management and tracking process. And what I kind of do here at ZenTek is, I am our Procore certified consultant, one of the few here. But I also work within Bluebeam. I teach a lot of our Microsoft courses from Excel and Project. And again, if anyone is going to be working with us for our Procore consultation, chances are you will be working with me.
There you go. So Dave wears a lot of hats here. We like having him around. He's fun. So, all right. So, like Dave said, right, we are certified Procore consultants here at ZenTek. We got a couple of them on staff, myself and Dave included. And we think it's a really powerful system, right? But, we're honest enough to know that it has its limitations, right? Particularly kind of the out-of-the-box installation that Procore helps you get set up. They set it up as kind of a generic structure, right? That's meant to address common needs for a wide array of businesses, and that doesn't always relate directly to what you may be doing, right? A lot of folks start off early on getting frustrated because Procore doesn't seem to do all the things that they were promised it could do. And the thing to understand here is that Procore didn't lie to you, right? The system can do those things. It's just not set up to do them without some customization work. So Dave, right? Like you said, right? You do a lot of our Procore customization. What's the overall process that you kind of recommend for people who are looking to get their tools in Procore working the way that they need them?
Yeah, so you brought it up that Procore out of the box comes fit for 80%, 90% of your company's workflow. Typically, this is the averages that they see across the board. And one thing I would recommend is keep the basic at the start. don't get too far into the customization, but write down every single little thing that you like or don't like about a particular tool. For example, the invoicing tool. You may want to see, you may want to have your own custom invoice PDF for that. And you can do that. But it's not something they'll tell you immediately. You'll have to reach out. You'll have to reach out to us. But it is available, and that's why I recommend writing everything down. Notepad, sticky note, have 50 million sticky notes on your desk about all the
get to wallpaper your office with them, the good stuff.
Exactly. Depending on how far customized you want, you may be going to Office Max for a lot of different sticky notes. We're not sponsored, by the way. I don't think we are, at least. So just write everything down, and then when you have an opportunity, again, you could reach out to us, you could reach out to Procore, you could even do some of your own research with a lot of the things to see, are some of these available, to be able to be customized.
Yeah, and I agree with that. I mean, I think it's important to get everybody involved, right? And everybody who's working in it should be making lists, and it's a good idea to, meet internally and get a wish list put together. And then when it is time to work with someone like Dave, makes life a lot easier. You know what you're looking for. I think another big issue that we see a lot around Procore implementations is that people just aren't sure of how to make it work, right? And what I mean by that, it isn't that they don't know how to use the Procore system, though that can be an issue sometimes too. What I mean is that even when users understand how to use the tools inside of Procore, they're not sure of the how, the when, the why of which tools should I be using and in what order or what information should I be including here. And really for most of us, this is more of an internal operating procedure, right? And it's a real common issue. So Dave, how do you kind of recommend people get started working with an SOP, right? A standard operating procedure inside Procore? And how important do you think that is to getting a successful Procore implementation?
We'll start with the second question here first. How important is that? It's incredibly important if you want to have less issues overall. You want to have happier staff. And you want to be able to have the staff, your superintendents, your project managers, to be able to refer back to something, a physical document or a digital document, or more or less, that they can, read and see how they do this. And this is good for existing employees who, we all forget things at times, some people more than others.
Was that an old man joke? Are you taking shots at me, David?
100% both of you guys. It wasn't just you.
All right, fair enough. As long as it's both of us, I'm okay with it.
So everyone just needs that little bit of reminder, especially those tools, those tools that you may only use once a project, twice a project. But also to really help your new employees get onboarded to Procore. Now, Procore is huge. You're not going to learn it overnight. You're not going to learn it in a week. You're not going to learn it in 3 months, 6 months. To be a super professional at it. It takes years to be fully proficient with every single tool. Now, having an SOP or standard operating procedure allows you, allows individuals to be able to take what they need to know in those 3 months or 6 months and adapt it to their roles. And how you can go about doing that is, well, talk with them. Sit down with your superintendents. Well, your superintendents aren't going to need to be, they're not going to be invoicing, right? So don't even worry about telling them how to invoice. Should they, potentially know how the invoicing tool works? Again, certainly. But they shouldn't, they don't need to go by and input an invoice every single time. But drawings, they probably need to know how to look at drawings. So, list out what they need, how they want to do it, and see if that's doable.
Okay. That's a reasonable approach, right? Making sure that people are getting just what they need for their jobs. Always a smart answer. So, Rocco, let's wake you up over there, right? In terms of our clients, how many of them kind of need help understanding Procore's tools when they come to us versus how many of them really seem to actually need more help in outlining and implementing some type of an SOP?
People come to us at all different levels. And sometimes I kind of feel like they come to us when it's almost too late, when there's tomatoes flying within those offices, and who's blaming who, and we can help out at all levels. And like guys have been saying here, you have some built-in tools already within Procore, some built-in training, right? But it doesn't hurt to engage us early and have conversations with us around where and how we can help, because it's once you have some early discussions, at least once you start to hit those roadblocks, okay, there's another resource that we can turn to outside of Procore. And to be honest with you, as much as we want you guys to come to us, we obviously work hard to do what we do, but we're not the only Procore certified consultants. So my point is engage with somebody else outside of Procore, because we can always give you a different perspective, and don't engage when it's too late, when you're already frustrated and now you're ready to throw money at it just to solve the problem. Because a healthy discussion in advance of will definitely be a benefit to you.
There you go. So like the old adage, right, about an ounce of prevention being worth a pound of cure. So I think one of the important features that often gets overlooked when you're setting up Procore is the idea of templates, or things like predefined project structures, right, with related default values. It can make everything a lot simpler for everybody involved if you've got kind of this standard setup. But there's a bit of a trick to getting it all rolling, right? Since you kind of do need to get a Procore account rep to get those templates kind of posted up to your system and start people off on the right foot with the right data. So Dave, how do you usually suggest that clients, set up and handle templates, and what's kind of the general process for building a template and then getting them posted to their Procore portfolio?
I could do a whole audiobook on how much I love templates and everything about Procore templates and how much time they can save. So I'll have to keep this one a little bit shorter than what I anticipated, which is still pretty long. But Procore templates, getting kind of started with them. If you have some basic projects that you have your customization already, you've reached out to us or another consultant, whoever it may be, and you have your Procore kind of set up the way you want it. But, one owner, one client, one type of building may have an entirely different set of tools and processes versus the other. All right, Procore, it's built for construction managers. We have different owners. We have different requirements for those owners. And, well, first of all, you have to know what those owners would like to see. Make sure, they have the proper tools that they can access and what they want to see. Write down everything again, and we can actually create training projects within Procore and start modifying them there. If you'd like to see how submittals are processed and organized in one particular project that your favorite project engineer, I'm giving myself a little pat on the back here because I used to be a project engineer, and a lot of people used my projects for their templates from previous organizations. Do that. Talk with people. If you know one project engineer is really great at submittals and you see how their workflow is going, talk with them, put that as a template, and then you can then work that into your SOP going back to that to do that. And now you have an SOP. You now have your one or two templates for how to do your submittals. And you kind of just repeat that with the rest of the tools.
Okay, that works. So but I guess you didn't answer my question. How do we get that? What do they have to do to get that posted and set?
Oh, well, first of all, it's one of those things. I wish you could do your own templates and kind of just check the box, add this project to that. Unfortunately, you do have to reach out to Procore. Even we have to reach out to Procore, your Procore sales rep. You can even do the little help. Usually that works pretty well to get those templates set up. So, but again, you have to have a example project first before you reach out to them. So again, make sure you have that example project to the T that what you want to see.
Yep, that's it exactly. Get it set, get it working, get it doing what you need it to do, and then all you have to do is just get Procore to just publish it to your portfolio, and you should be all set. And it is a great way to work. All right, so
I can talk all day about templates, and I just missed that one question.
There you go. See, that's all right. I'm always here to remind you. So, all right, folks, let's take a break to hear from today's sponsor, and when we get back, we will let Dave tell us about best practices for helping you, get you folks up to speed on real-world Procore procedures. All right, so stick around, folks. We'll be back in just a minute with more of the Cattle Call Podcast. Hey everybody, this is Jim and Rocco with ZenTek Consultants, and we wanted to talk to you a little bit today about the training options that we have available here for you guys at ZenTek Consultants. We offer public training classes as well as private custom courses for all of your software and design needs. So, Rocco, why don't you tell the folks what kind of training we offer and how do they reach out to us to get it going for them?
Yeah, Jim, we cover everything from Bluebeam to Autodesk to Microsoft to BricsCAD to civil site design training and beginner through to advanced level topics. Like you said, both public and private courses. If you got a group and want to run a class specifically for your team, we can help you. So just feel free to hit our website. We're at zentekconsultants.net. That's ZenTek, or you can give us a ring, 866-824-4459, or even drop us an email, sales@zentekconsultants.net.
There you go, ZenTek Consultants for all of your technology training need. All right, everybody, welcome back to the Cattle Call Podcast. We're talking with David Mills, our resident Procore expert here at ZenTek, about the pitfalls and benefits of using that system on actual projects. Kind of instead of the rainbow puppies and unicorn-filled world of online demonstrations that we usually get with Procore. And kind of to start with, I want to hit on training. Procore has a whole library of training videos that we can all access, and it's great, right? But it really is hard to know which ones you should be looking at and studying. And I will also say this, right? That those videos are really focused on the process of using the actual Procore software, right? There's not really anything on what the data you're manipulating actually means or how the changes are going to impact your projects and your schedules and your budget. So Dave, let's start with all of the tools on Procore, right? Do you think folks need to be experts on all of them? And how do they pick and choose which ones they should be focused on learning?
I'd recommend there be, depending on the size of your company, there should be at least one person who knows how all the tools work, at least internally. That way, if you ever need consulting, we can easily reach out to that individual and they know, how everything works within your system. But all employees of your company, the other 99%, they don't need to be a master. They don't even need the certification a lot of the time that Procore does offer. Yeah, it helps. Again, Jim, you said it best. It tells you the process on how to, click here, click here, click here. But we know that that's not all the time. There's drafts that we leave. There's things that we need to edit and delete and redo, and there aren't really processes for that. Or not process. There really aren't good resources to easily find for that. So what that one individual can do is then help you with that very easily. But again, the 99%, they do not need to know every single tool, every single administrative setting that you have. Even that 1% person, they don't need to know that level of customization.
Yeah. And
however,
good. Oh, good.
Yep. Yeah. What you want to do for those individuals that only need to learn the select amount of tools, well, talk with them. Superintendents, obviously, again, I like to use superintendents because I was in the field. 99% of the time, they're going to be using 3 tools: the drawings tool, the RFIs tool, and the specifications tool. And we can include the daily log in there as well. They're going to be spending a vast majority of time in those 4 tools. They will need to know how to look at submittals and other things, but they don't need to know how to submit a submittal. Uploading drawings, yeah, they probably should know how to do that just to help out the project management team. But as long as they know how to navigate and view all those and see how all of those tools also link back to each other. Again, that RFI tool, you can put RFIs on drawings. You can also tag RFIs to different change orders and change events. That's useful for the project management team at this point, not necessarily the superintendent for the vast majority of companies. So that's a little bit about that.
Okay. All right. So I guess the question then kind of becomes, right, if you can't depend solely on the Procore videos to kind of get you the understanding that you need for your job, then what options do you have? Now, obviously, Dave is going to say that ZenTek as a partner is the best answer, or he will if he wants to keep his job and get the chain taken off his ankle so he can leave his desk. But the reality is, you're going to need more than just some training, right? Things like long-term partnership and internal mentors, like Dave was saying earlier, are going to have an even more important impact to kind of help you get the return on investment that you want from Procore. So Dave, how do you see companies best, developing and implementing and sharing their knowledge around, using Procore for their company specific processes, right? What have you seen work and what doesn't work?
Yeah, so at the end of the day, myself, Jim, and just ZenTek consultants as a whole, we are consultants. We don't know the minute-by-minute play of what goes on at your company. However, what I recommend and what I've seen most success with is having almost like team leaders for Procore. Again, I'm going to bring up the superintendent example. From my experience, a lot of the field staff, they are not as technology savvy as the project management and definitely the office administrators as well. They know how to build walls. They know how to install everything in that building and run a job site. So when you tell them, hey, watch some videos, watch some of this, they're not gonna find that fun. So have a team leader for them, and that way they can go back to that person and ask them any questions, and that person can support them with any additional training or even sitting one-on-one with them on how to interact with a certain tool. That way, again, that superintendent is going to trust that team leader part of your team. And it could be another superintendent. Some people have great superintendents who are very tech savvy. One of the ones I was working under, I thought I was smart with computers. Man, this guy was a rock star. He could build buildings and build computers and everything. So very intelligent individual. And he was actually, for the previous company, he was their Procore kind of team lead. And a lot of people reached out to him. And you could have, a weekly or bi-weekly meeting with your team. And just have a core focus group of, the superintendents, a core focus group of the project managers, kind of go along all that and see, hey, where are the issues? Has anybody solved any of these issues, already on your own? And where can we go from here?
Yeah, and that's a good environment because that, in that kind of a structure, it gives you a little bit more control, right? You got people working together who know each other. I think Dave's hit that dead on. It's best to have like those team leaders working with the consultant rather than every super trying to work with the consultant directly, right? Because this way you're addressing problems for the whole company instead of one person 22 times on 22 different jobs, So yeah, I think it's a good approach. So Rocco, I'm going to kind of go back. So you kind of hit on this, I think, in the top half of the show a little bit, but I want to ask you this directly, right? So, do most of our clients kind of engage with us, as soon as they roll out Procore, or do you see most of them that kind of come forward only after they've hit a problem and they've kind of, tried to fight through it on their own for a while?
Yeah, it's usually after they've fought through the battles and they're not getting the responses that they want from Procore. That's when they engage with us, and that's why I kind of said that I think it doesn't cost you to have a conversation with us to sit down and get a different perspective for how we can help, what we can, versus waiting until you're knee deep in and trying to figure out how to resolve the issues, because they do come up, and they come up often. And when you're knee deep into trying to use the software, it's hard to get out. So you want answers, and it just helps to have someone you've engaged with early in the process. We see it too many times where people are coming to us too far in the game, and then it's like, how do we backtrack? And you don't want to backtrack. You want to engage with us with enough time. So that's my take.
Yeah, I mean, I think it goes back. I think Dave hit on it earlier in the conversation that, the idea that you're not going to become a Procore specialist in a week. It's not. No matter what the salespeople told you, it takes years to master. This is a huge, huge system, and I think if you go into it with the idea of like, look, we know it's not going to do everything. We're not going to be able to learn it because all the people who you have learning it have full-time jobs, right? Doing what you pay them for on a daily basis. They need to run your projects. You're going to do so much better if you have someone who is right there, kind of holding your hand and taking you to, how do I need, this super, how do I get him more functional, and so on. I think it's a great approach. So, I think it's important that everybody listening, you guys also kind of begin thinking about your long-term success for Procore. In other words, it's really not the type of system that is one and done setup or training, right? It takes a long time to really get good at this. So there's always going to be a need to review and update procedures as new tools are released, or you start seeing holes or issues cropping up in your daily workflows. And some of that is just business driven, changes. And some of it can just be, people not always following the standard operating procedure steps and avoiding processes to make their life a little easier. So Dave, what do you see on that end, right? What are the biggest issues you see with Procore clients over the long haul? Is it tech related issues, or is it more likely, user input issues that you see?
99% of the time, it's going to be user input issues. Procore's interface and kind of UI and everything, and user experience is developed extremely well. Procore for iPad and Android, the tablet versions, they are incredibly useful and incredibly well designed. However, it's input issues because a lot of the time people are putting all this information in, and they don't know where this information's going or how it's linked up together. And after months or a few projects or a few years, this tumbleweeds into a bigger and bigger problem. A lot of the times I hear superintendents that I've worked with. They talk with you on each other at, social events, your Christmas party, and they say, oh, you still do daily logs, or you still fill out the entire daily log? Don't worry about this, and this part on it. I don't do it. I haven't gotten in trouble, and it doesn't do anything. And then again, it's going to have that negative effect. And again, it's just going to keep tumbleweeding, and just going to keep getting worse and worse. And then, as Rocco said, you're going to start getting frustrated with it, and it's going to be too late. You're just going to start throwing money at the problem to try to fix it. at the end of the day when it's really just an internal issue. It's not a Procore issue. And that goes back to templates. Well, yeah, that superintendent's probably right. Maybe you don't need to do that. Or it could go back to this SOP. Well, it's written in the SOP. You need to do this. Maybe, those individuals need just a little refresher on why that's done that way. People always want to do, less work, especially, when they've been in a company for years and years. And if they don't see the effect of the work or data input that they are putting in, they're just going to stop doing it.
Fair enough. Of course, Dave doesn't do that. Dave does everything perfectly for us. But all right, folks, tell you what, as always, right, listeners of the show know that whenever we have a guest on, even the ones who work with us, I like to let them ramble a bit about something that I didn't think to ask. So Dave, right, what else would you like folks to know about or consider when they're trying to get Procore working the way they need it to?
Just know with any other sophisticated software program, it's going to take time. The Microsoft suite, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and Outlook, and the rest, they are all designed very, close to each other. They all have the ribbon at the top. Some of the symbols are the same. And we're used to them. You can go from one to one with little experience in the other and kind of figure it out. However, with Procore, this is, entirely different for a lot of companies and a lot of individuals where they've never worked with something possibly this complex before. And that scares a lot of people, how complex and how easy it is to mess up. But again, once you get the training, once you get your kind of group leads and team leaders, it really does go over smoothly, and it will save your company time, money, and headaches, especially the headaches portion. It saved me walking out in the field with those drawings in my tablet. I've saved so much just headaches dealing with RFIs and having a subcontractor rip out an entire wall because he installed it wrong, put the wrong dimensions on it or whatever it may be. So it's just complex. Give it some time, give it some training, and kind of, go from there.
Sounds like a plan. All right, folks. And with that, I want to thank Dave once more for being here. And we're going to let all y'all get back to your work day today. And that includes Dave, who kind of needs to stop playing podcast guest here today and go make Rocco some money. Otherwise, Rocco's going to yell at me, Dave. So, all right.
He already yells at me. Don't worry.
That's all Rocco does. He doesn't do anything productive. He sits here and yells at Dave and I all day.
Hey, you bunch of slackers. Get to work.
See, you see what we have to put up with, people. All right. I do appreciate you being on, Dave. It was a great interview, man. We'll talk to you all later. Have a great day, everybody. We'll catch you next time on the Cattle Call Podcast. All right, everybody. Today's Cattle Call was brought to you courtesy of ZenTek Consultants. That's Rocco and I. ZenTek Consultants works with design and manufacturing firms to help our clients purchase and implement the software that they need in these complex industries. We provide a single point of contact for clients to buy, develop, and learn the most vital software systems for your specific needs. ZenTek strives to be your trusted technology partner from your initial needs all the way through long-term support and training for your entire staff. So Rocco, why don't you tell them how to reach out to ZenTek?
All right, yeah, you can reach out to us through zentekconsultants.net. You can email us at sales@zentekconsultants.net, or you can even call us 866-824-4459.
Excellent. We look forward to hearing from y'all.